Hello again, everyone. So, in our last lesson, we talked about the harmful effects of marijuana use on the brain and the body, right? So, what was the mind altering substance that is in marijuana? Good, THC, right? So, when THC is introduced in the body, it blocks the brain's messaging system. Which brain functions are affected by THC? Right, so we have short term memory, reaction time, motivation, coordination, right? So today we are going to talk about 3 classes of powerful drugs: prescription, over-the-counter, and street drugs. So prescription medications are drugs with legitimate uses in medical treatment and are only available with a doctor's prescription. Over-the-counter, or OTC, drugs are sold without a doctor's prescription. Typically, these drugs are less potent or lower dosage of a prescription drug, right? But what do you guys think of when you hear the term street drugs? Right, so these drugs are called street drugs because they're not made in a licensed laboratory. They don't have any recognized medical use, and they are illegal to possess, distribute, and use. Street drugs include substances like cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine. We're going to do an activity to clarify the facts about these drugs. So I'm going to read you guys a series of statements to gauge your understanding of prescription and over-the-counter drugs. If you think the statement that I make is true, you guys will just raise your hand, okay? If you think the statement's false, just keep your hand down. So this activity does not require you to talk, so just listen carefully to each statement. When I say you decide, either raise your hand or keep it down. All right, so the first statement. It is illegal to use street drugs, but it's not illegal to share prescription medications with someone. If you think it's true, raise your hand. False, keep your hand down. So this statement is false. Taking a pill prescribed to someone else or giving a pill to another person can be harmful. Prescription drugs are considered controlled substances, and the only safe and legal way to use them is with a doctor's prescription. So let's try another one. Some over-the-counter medications are addictive. Raise your hand if you think it's true. Keep your hand down if you think it's false. So this statement is true. Although over-the-counter medications are less potent than prescription drugs, many of these drugs pose a risk for addiction if abused. Listen carefully to this next statement. Prescription drugs are safer to abuse than street drugs like heroin or cocaine because they're prescribed by a doctor. What do you guys think? So this statement is actually false. Access to prescription drugs is regulated by the government through the Controlled Substances Act, and labels and instructions are provided for safe use because these drugs are as powerful as street drugs and can be just as harmful when misused. So here's the next one. The abuse of some over-the-counter medications have effects like that of using street drugs. What do you guys think? So this statement is true. Abusing prescription drugs and over-the-counter drugs can have serious effects on the body. Again, the prescription drugs are powerful and act on the same brain sites as street drugs. So here's the last one, guys. It is not possible to overdose from the abuse of over-the-counter or prescription drugs. What do you guys think? You decide. So this statement is false. Overdose is not exclusive to street drugs. An overdose can occur when a person takes an excessive amount of any drug. Most teens agree that using an illegal street drug is an unreasonable and unhealthy risk. Why do you guys think that some teens think abusing prescription or over-the-counter medications would be a safe way to get high? Maybe so, right? So while prescription and over-the-counter drugs have legitimate uses in medical treatment, the abuse of these substances presents similar health risks to those of street drugs. So let's go ahead and take a closer look to those health risks. So open your workbooks to page 22 and 23. So this section on page 22, titled Understanding the Effects, lists each drug's harmful effects. The web diagram on page 23 reveals which drugs cause similar effects. You and a partner will use the two reference charts on page 22 to complete this diagram to reveal which drug shares effects. The first chart on page 22 lists several prescription and over-the-counter drugs, and the second chart lists the street drugs. We're going to complete the first line of the web diagram together, and you and a partner will complete the rest. So the first effect listed in the web diagram is nausea. Look at the reference charts on page 22. Which drugs cause nausea? Good, all of them, right? So now go ahead and follow the web from nausea to confusion. Which drugs cause confusion? Good, so that's going to be prescription pain relievers, prescription depressants, DXM, ecstasy, and heroin, right? Okay, so which drugs cause itchy skin? Good, so prescription pain relievers and heroin, right? Finally, which is the only drug that causes constipation? Good, so write down prescription pain relievers in the space provided. Prescription pain relievers are powerful opiates that, when taken as directed, work to alleviate pain. Misusing prescription pain relievers can produce effects like those of heroin. So let's complete the next line of the web diagram. It's a little different. The drug name heroin is listed for you, but an effect is missing. We can see from the diagram that heroin causes nausea, confusion, and itchy skin. But there's an effect missing from the diagram that is consistent with just heroin use. Which effect is that? Good, so that's warm, flushing skin. Heroin is a highly addictive opiate. As with other street drugs, users do not know the real content or strength of the drug, so there's a high risk of overdose or death. Now, you and your partner will work together to complete the rest of the web diagram. So teachers, if you want to go ahead and pause this video, let the students partner up and complete the rest of this, okay? All right, guys, so let's go over your answers. Which drug causes nausea, confusion, dizziness, and convulsions? Good, so this one should be prescription depressants. Prescription depressants control the chemicals in the brain to treat anxiety and sleep disorders. The misuse of these drugs creates a harmful chemical imbalance in the brain. So what is the missing effect for dextromethorphan? Good, so that's facial redness, right? So that is a cough suppressant. The misuse of DXM causes irrational and dangerous behaviors, loss of consciousness, and brain damage. So which drug causes nausea, sweating, dilated pupils, and disturbed sleep patterns? Good, so that one's prescription stimulants. These are typically prescribed to treat ADD or ADHD and work to correct a chemical imbalance in the brain. Prescription stimulants do not increase learning or cognitive ability for someone not diagnosed with an attention disorder. So, which drug has similar effects as stimulants but also causes panic attacks? Good, so this one's cocaine. It is a powerfully addictive stimulant drug. Users quickly develop a tolerance to the drug, and who remembers what tolerance means? Good, needing more of the drug to feel the effect, right? So as the body gets used to the drug, more of the drug is necessary to produce the same effect, and that increases the risk of overdose. So on the next one, what's the missing effect for methamphetamine? Right, so this one was skin sores. So as soon as meth is put into the body will do whatever it can to get that out. The body will sweat out the toxins through the pores in the skin, which irritates the skin and forms sores. So the meth user's constant urge to pick at these sores aggravates them. Meth users also experience many of the effects that cocaine users do. So which drug causes nausea, sweating, hallucinations, and teeth grinding? Good, so this one's ecstasy. Ecstasy use destroys the hormones that regulate pleasure and increases the risk of long-term, possibly permanent, problems with memory and learning. So, in the past several lessons, we have discussed the harmful effects of substance use. Most teens choose to be drug-free and never experiment with drugs. Why do you think that the few teens that use made the decision to try them? Right, so maybe to fit in, peer pressure, maybe they're bored, they want to feel older, maybe they want to take risks, maybe they're depressed, right? All right, so many of the reasons that we just went over are listed in the next section of your workbook titled, That's Life. So let's go over those. So we have to relax or escape, to feel older, to fit in and belong, to satisfy curiosity, to take risks and rebel, to self-medicate, and to overcome boredom. So most teenagers do face these challenges at some point. Do you think there are healthier ways to handle these challenges than turning to drugs? Yeah, exactly. There are healthy ways to feel older, to fit in, to relax, and even to take risks. To explore the healthy ways to manage these life challenges, we're going to play a game called That's Life. The That's Life cards present scenarios about teenagers who meet these life challenges in a healthy way. Be the first team to collect 4 scenario cards from one of the categories in the That's Life section in your workbook. Each team is going to start out with 4 That's Life scenario cards. So, to start the game, you will review your cards and identify any scenarios for matching categories. So, if you have cards that match, your team should collect that category. Next, your team must discard a scenario card that does not fit the category you are collecting. So you will just pass that card on to the next team on each turn. On your turn, you will have 30 seconds to read the new card aloud to your team and identify the category. If it matches your collection, keep it. You do still have to pass a scenario card though. When you hear a little buzzer or ding or whatever the sound is, then that will be your cue to go ahead and pass your card to the next team, okay? So, teachers, real quick. The class needs to be divided into 7 teams. Go ahead and have them determine which way the team is going to pass the cards, whether it's to the left or the right. They will need the That's Life scenario cards shuffled, and each team will need 4. Okay, guys, so you're really gonna have 5 minutes total to do this game, so try to get those categories quick, right? All right, I'll see you guys in a few minutes. let's bring it back, all right? So the effects of using street drugs and the abuse of prescription and over-the-counter drugs are harmful and they can be fatal. As teenagers, you're going to face many challenges, but it's up to you to find healthy ways to manage them. In our next lesson, we will explore risk and identify healthy and unhealthy risks. I'll see you guys next week.